Well, that's, of course, our special debate on India this week tonight. Joining me now, Dr. Rajiv Kumar, economist and Secretary General, FICCI. Also, Mr. Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times. Thanks so much for taking the time out to speak to us. Dr. Rajiv Kumar, first to you. Industry, of course, talking about policy paralysis for just weeks and months on end. Person after person you speak to says things are stalled and absolutely nothing is moving. And in the backdrop of all of this, the Prime Minister now talking about, as he put it, reviving the animal spirit. Are you convinced?
Well, I'm hopeful because that is what we live by, and given that there have been repeated enunciations of the resolve to take these steps urgently required, I think we need to give the benefit of the doubt to the Prime Minister that these reform measures are coming, and in fact we have been making it very clear in our own statements that we are nearing a crisis, and that if these steps are not taken at this point of time, the short-term difficulties may even impair India's longer-term growth prospects, which remain intact. So, I'm not saying that I'm convinced, but I'm saying that I'm more than hopeful now that, given these repeated assurances, action will follow the talk.
Right, sir. But do you believe the damage that is being described can actually be reversed? It's not too late.
Of course, it can be because the structural features underlying the India growth story are very much intact. Whether it's our demographic dividend, or it's our entrepreneurial dynamism, or it's our high rate of savings, and the fact that we depend more on domestic demand rather than on external markets, they're all there. And India offers a great investment opportunity still. There are still very good rates of return to be made. And the fact that we still maintain 6% rate of growth, very low from what we require, but nonetheless impressive, shows that all this can be reversed in actually very quick time if the correct decisions are taken and the steps that we have put forward in our 12-point agenda are actually implemented.
Right, all is not lost yet. Vinod Sharma, sir, come in here. Questions, of course, being raised on the timing of Barack Obama's statement here, an eye on US polls, there are domestic pressures, so on and so forth here. But political parties, of course, united for one thing. Who is the US to let us know, even if this unity is not going to last? How do you see these statements? So many people here would say this is what we've been talking about endlessly for the last couple of months.
Yes, I think that the statement of the President of the United States is in line with the suggestions that have been made to Indian economists and the government by Standard & Poor, by Moody, and also by Time magazine, which is the vehicle for promoting the international interests of the Americans and the big debate that it triggered recently in our country.
Right.
The fact remains that India is a sovereign nation and it will take its own decisions. But at the same time, the opposition leaders who are being brave with their statements would have adopted a different tone had they been in power. And we've seen that happening when the BJP was in power, when the NDA was in power, when it was about whether committing troops to Iraq was possible or not, or what all Stobe Talbot wrote in his book. Now, I think that the Prime Minister is not going to be helped immensely by President Obama's statement.
Right.
There is a movement towards opening up the Indian economy, towards pushing some big-ticket reforms.
Right.
And the Indian business is in support of that.
Right.
Now, one has to see how much of political consensus can the government build in support of these reforms, which it is mulling over.
Fair enough, sir. But then, of course, very clear that in recent months there hasn't been much sort of confidence building, as it were. Not much that we've seen that has inspired faith, industry or otherwise. It's been one step forward and some say two steps back, decisions taken, reversed, and so on and so forth. So there really hasn't been sort of a proactive, investor-friendly and sort of stable governance model. That's what the critics have been arguing. Do you believe that before 2014 things can really change?
Well, I think that in politics, everything is possible. Natasha, we still have almost 2 years to go before 2014, if the elections are held in 2014, not before 2014.
Right.
And on account of the presidential election and the new permutations and combinations that we are seeing in the political arena, there is a possibility that India might be able to pull off something akin to the Indo-US nuclear deal when you are in the monsoon session. But for that we'll have to wait, and we'll have to trust the sagacity of the Prime Minister, his political savvy, which till now has not been demonstrative in UPA 2. But,
Right.
but one only hopes that he's able to strike a balance between the government's social commitments and its agenda to promote business and to notch a higher growth rate in order to generate greater wealth for distribution across sections and sectors.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.